Elon Musk's Boring Company has been cited for multiple safety violations with workers exposed to chemical sludge. Now, this doofus said, right, like he was gonna, what was it? He was gonna build a tunnel in the ground to go through LA, and, you know, you're gonna sit in a pod and it'll shoot you through an underground tunnel and you can get through all the LA traffic really easily. He started this company. He's going to bore a hole in the ground and do all this shit. In the time that he's announced this company, China has built thousands of kilometers of high-speed rail network while we're still waiting for his thing to take off. So, article reads, "The Boring Sludge Saga, a tunnel vision catastrophe." Now, I wrote this in the kind of from his point of view. That's kind of funny. "Workers wading through the central chemical sludge suffering burns to their skin and faces. This is the pathetic reality of a Las Vegas tunnel project. A milkshake-like muck filled with accelerants meant to cure concrete that has become a daily occupational hazard for these poor souls." He says, "How did I, the great visionary and disruptor, allow all this farcical situation to unfold? While countries like China rapidly expand their high-speed rail networks spanning thousands of miles of my revolutionary Boring Company still remains stuck in the mud, literally and figuratively." Las Vegas Convention Center Loop, a mere half-mile underground transit system has devolved into a regulatory nightmare. Safety violations have piled up like the chemical sludge itself as state inspectors uncover the sordid truth behind my grand tunneling ambitions. Employees recount me being on fire from exposure to these hazardous materials, their cries for protection drowned out by the relentless digging noise. How did I, the champion of innovation and technological progress, create such a dystopian and working environment? The answer lies in my stubborn refusal to accept limitations, my unwavering belief that sheer force can overcome any obstacle. But even I, the great Elon Musk, cannot simply bore through the laws of physics and workplace safety regulations. Now, while I dreamed of a vast underground network to solve urban congestion, the reality is as half-baked as tunnel riddled with hazards, delays, and immense costs, an embarrassing blemish on the legacy of my supposed disruption. While Elon Musk's Boring Company promised revolutionary tunneling technology, he's just basically created a gimmick. In the same time frame, the supposed technological laggards of communist China have utterly lapsed Musk's grandiose vision, constructing thousands of miles of world-class high-speed rail. In 2016, he unveiled the Boring Company with the goal of developing a network of underground tunnels to provide high-speed rail transportation. And nearly a decade later, the company's sole operational achievement is $52 million tunnel system at Las Vegas Convention Center that takes people in the tunnel like the tunnel of love at the amusement park. It's just like you put this car. It's very rudimentary. It's not impressive. It's nothing to, write home about. This pathetic half-mile tunnel has also been mired in safety violations, with workers wading in chemical sludge that cause severe burns. Far cry from his promised revolution in tunneling and high-speed transit. China has expanded, however, its high-speed rail network by over 10,000 miles, cementing its position as home to over 60% of the world's high-speed rail tracks. So China, again, kicking our asses and then handing us our underwear back to us after they give us an atomic wedgie, and us having to pick up the pieces and deal with that. Communism works. Capitalism has ceased to work. The hubris on these motherfuckers. Since Musk's 2016 announcement, China has expanded their high-speed rail. Their latest accomplishment, it's successful test of the vacuum maglev train that could eventually transport passengers at over 600 miles an hour. Now, that's what planes travel at, I think. When they go up, then they're traveling between 500 miles an hour and 1,000 miles an hour, something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a scene in that movie, Catch Me If You Can, where he convinces all these flight attendants to speak in a certain way, like to talk like a stewardess or whatever. And the one goes, We'll be traveling at an altitude of 52 feet. We'll be traveling 10,000 miles an hour at an altitude of 52 feet. And I'm just like really low to the ground. It's super fucking fast.
That'd be sick.
Like the speed of light, but like at knee height. Like knee height.
Yeah, the numbers aren't important.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So there you go. That was the story about Elon Musk. Not a good guy if you're looking for efficiency in transportation solutions for public, accommodation. I don't know what the real plan was there, but it's just another sort of half-brained idea from a guy who's got too much money and has the dangerous curiosity of like a dead cat or a toddler. He doesn't understand the things that he's doing, why he's doing them. He just needs to do them. Can anybody out there who's listening give me a reason why we should be in space rather than taking care of problems here? Anybody?
Elon has the problem of too many yes men that I think that a lot of rich people fall into. He doesn't have anybody around him with any sense telling him that his ideas are trash. It's like once you get to like that certain level of wealth, people don't want to tell you no, which is like why it also kind of gave me hope when you were talking earlier about reading literacy levels in America and how they're dropping across the board, and even among rich people, how they're kind of getting dumber. It's like I can sort of see that. It's like if you are a rich kid, yeah, you may have access to all the best tutors, but they're definitely known for cheating and being squeezed through a lot of processes. Like there was all that whole college admission scandal with all the rich people a few years back that people have already forgotten about, as if that's not still going on. But I can absolutely imagine rich kids being left to their own devices and getting addicted to like doom scrolling TikTok or just doing brain rot shit like anybody else, because who's going to tell them no? Like rich kids are told no even less than poor kids. It's like if you're poor and you have to work for yourself, you really don't have much of a choice but to figure out some kind of like marketable skill or you're going to literally die. Whereas like you can be a rich fail son for a long time and you can really get by that way.
Yeah. Well, there's this thing called the glass ceiling, right? Where poor people can't get above a certain height, right? Because they didn't go to an Ivy League university, they don't have rich parents. If you're not born into that high society, there's a glass ceiling, one where you hit it and you can't go any further up, right? That's what they say. Well, there's also something called the glass floor, where rich kids, no matter how stupid and incompetent or violently criminal they are, that they can't go any further down. That they'll always be caught by the glass floor. And I always love that analogy because it's true. Rich kids, no matter how terrible, they could be rapists and, swindlers and stuff, they will always be shielded from criminal prosecution. They'll always have cushy jobs. Hunter Biden is like smoking crack and he's like the head of one of the natural gas companies in Ukraine.
Yeah.
I doubt that he has, this above beyond intelligence that keeps him from working at Pizza Hut. It's his connections, it's the nepotism, it's stuff like that. You're not fooling anybody. We know this shit. We see it. These people are basically gamblers. That's true. They're basically
He just got convicted of all those gun charges. Like, what's going to happen to Hunter? Like, do you see him doing any jail time? It's like, no. It's like, he's going to be fine. There was that, this is like a deep poll, but I forget which, it was like the Koch brothers. One of their, like, grandkids, I can't remember his first name. I want to say it's like something like Tyler. He's like some ginger kid, and he came out with like a fashion line. And it was like awful. It was like NFT logos on like button down shirts. They were just so hideously ugly. And people forgot about it in like a month. Like it made headlines because people were outraged that he would dare to do something so hideous and expect that he was going to make a viral like fashion line on this stupid shit. But then, people forgot about it in like a month because nobody wants that. But it doesn't matter. Like no consequence to him. It's not like if you and I were to try to start a business and then like ruin our whole life savings. It's like, it doesn't matter for them.
Yeah. I think it's fine. Like, how many of these kids I met that were musicians or fashion designers I met in New York or San Francisco or these places that were, I stayed at a squat in New Orleans that was an abandoned building with all my friends, and we all were dirty and we all were always like taking acid and causing trouble and like playing music on the street and like stealing water from the next door neighbors and going to abandoned houses and scrapping metal and stuff. And who came to our house but Richard Gere's daughter, stepdaughter, famous persons, just wanting to have that taste of that life or whatever. It was just like, it was insulting. But she was nice, honestly. She was cool. She was actually nice to us. But the glass floor, the glass ceiling, it's bizarre and it's disgusting. And yeah, these people are always going to have cushy jobs, exactly no matter what they go through. And I'm not convinced that they're somehow more driven or more intelligent or more suited for the jobs that they have.
It's funny you say that, Chris. It would be really cool to talk to somebody who's involved in like the Brooklyn hipster scene, like all the people who are like trust fund kids who pretend that they're like homeless or vagrants or like anarchist crust punks or whatever. And I feel like I'm just now realizing that like the obvious podcast to do that would be Chapo Trap House because they're based out of Brooklyn. But then for obvious reasons, I could see why they would not do a podcast that exposes all like the fake leftists and hipsters who have like a lot of money. It's like,
look, just assume that there are, and just know from the bottom of my heart, I am not that. I am the opposite of that. Everything bad that capitalism's ever done, it's happened to me and my family, and I guarantee it.
You didn't ever live in a townhouse in Williamsburg?
Never lived in a townhouse in Williamsburg. Never had equity. Never had assets. Never had bonds. Never had graduation money. Never had.
What the fuck are capital gains?
Dude, don't know anything about it. I do know about having lice and being hungry and panhandling and being hassled by the police. That's what I remember mostly.